Can you hear me now?
We're trying to.
Yes, we can.
Okay, like I mentioned, MIPAN is an association of registered media independent companies operating in Nigeria. It started in 1999 and presently has 31 active members. Incidentally, this year also marks its 21st year anniversary. But like I said, we are using the MIPAN experience as a more or less like a platform to examine the media industry critically in Nigeria. And why should MIPAN be the one that we should use? Essentially, MIPAN member companies control the bulk of the above the line spending in Nigeria. Most of the TV, radio, press, out of home adverts you see, a large number is controlled by MIPAN executives and MIPAN companies. And I'll just run through some statistics so that you have an idea of the enormity of the position that MIPAN plays within the media spectrum. Essentially, in 2014, 93 billion was spent on ATL. ATL means above the line. In 2015, 97.9 billion was spent in 2015. In 2016, 91 billion passed through the MIPAN companies in Nigeria specifically. In 2017, 88 billion was the general billing. In 2018, you had not less than 81 billion. So which means that a substantial part of, this industry contributes substantially to the GDP, no matter how you look at it. So MIPAN essentially is a force to be reckoned with. And a lot of companies get their bread and butter from MIPAN, in the sense that they are linked to media houses, they are linked to entertainment, they are linked to every aspect of media and marketing communication. Because everything you do in terms of creativity somehow ends up being exposed to the media. So they are not a pushover association at all. In fact, it is the goose that lays the golden egg. But like I said last week, there was a change of veteran from Dr. Ken to FEMI ADELUSI. And I've had one or two occasions to meet FEMI along the line. And when I heard that he was picked as the president, I was very excited. And I approached him to say, why don't you let us look at this thing in a much more critical light? And so basically, I also spoke to some key stakeholders, and many were of the opinion that there was a need for us to also contribute to the growth and development of MIPAN moving forward. FEMI and his new EXO definitely have their vision of lifting MIPAN to greater heights. I will leave that for him to say, but I can tell you that the mantle of leading MIPAN through a post-COVID era is not an easy task at all. But from what I can see from the manifesto of the new MIPAN team, I think they are headed in the right direction. I must say, as I close the introduction briefly, that a lot of key stakeholders are interested in the growth and the future of MIPAN for obvious reasons. Because any association that has a predictable budget of not less than 81 billion, though we know the economy this year might be a challenge, but some areas are also still booming in spite of the COVID issue. And I know clearly that MIPAN organizations are still very much involved in this. But I would, just before I close, for FEMI to give us an idea of the direction it's taking the association to, because I don't want to go into that. That is his own stuff. I just want to acknowledge the presence of some stakeholders that are here with us, many of whom I've interacted with before we started this meeting. I want to acknowledge Professor Olatunji. Prof, as you know, is the Dean of the Faculty of Mass Comm, Lagos State University. Let me also formally introduce FEMI ADELUSI so that I won't take it for granted that we all know about it. FEMI has a combined master's degree in MBA and MSc. FEMI belongs to so many places. He's an ex-Guinness, ex-Coca-Cola, almost all the blue chip companies. FEMI has ex all of them. I wonder why. But he's presently the CEO of Brand I, and there's a group that resides under him, so he controls a lot of men, material, and resources. He's also a director in Alphabet Media, which basically is the pioneer, one of the pioneer training institutions for media, called media planning and buying. And FEMI came into the saddle last week, and a lot has happened between then and now. One thing I can tell you clearly from his manifesto is that FEMI is poised to take MIPAN to another level entirely. I also want to acknowledge Joko Kupe. Joko Kupe is also with us. He's also going to share some thoughts as we proceed in terms of technology in the line of media. We'll talk more about Prof as we proceed, but suffice to say, he's the one holding the key to the mass comm department in Lagos State University. He has written several books. He's a keen observer of media trends, entertainment trends. I happened to chance on one of his books some years back, and in fact, that book is a compendium that I would expect everybody to have. Joko has more than 30 years experience in marketing communication, some of which we have spent together in working for several companies. The same thing with Shegun. Shegun is a financial advisory specialist with bespoke specialization for media and marketing communication, financial exigency. So we'll see many of these things that plays out. The essence basically is to have some people, some people in our midst that will more or less like interrogate some of the things that FEMI is going to present so that we can all have a general mind. I want you to be rest assured that the journey is not going to end here. By the time we finish this program, everything we have discussed will be recorded, will be shared back to you, and we are likely to have write-ups in the newspapers and taking full pages to be able to show what we have decided here so that it serves as a communique that the MIPAN group can always refer to anytime they want ideas as to how they can complement the depth of knowledge they have. I don't want to lose the fact that I have to acknowledge, in addition to the MIPAN president, I have to acknowledge the AAA president and their reps on this call. I want to acknowledge the OAN president, Mr. Emmanuel Jufo, and Churchill that are on this call. I want to acknowledge the president of Afghan and president and their representatives, ex-Afghan president and their representatives, as well as AFCON president and their representatives on this call. I won't end this without acknowledging the presence of my friend and brother, Eki Azufe, the executive secretary of MIPAN. Why I'm taking time to go through all this is that this is a loaded forum. We have a lot of interested people here. There are some of our friends too that reached out to me when we did the composition on LinkedIn. So we also have some of our friends from Atlanta, Georgia, who have also reached out to me and some other people. When we put out that post a few days back, we are surprised that over close to about 1,500 people viewed it, which means that FEMI is very popular. I don't know. Maybe it's more among the females anyway, but it seems to be a very popular person. So, and it's still growing. So we'll have our friends too from Atlanta dropping some hints on one or two things they expect the media industry in Nigeria to be doing. So having said that, in terms of acknowledgement, I want Femi and his team to, for the next 10, 15 minutes, just take us through their manifesto so that we begin to look at it from various angles and begin to assist to flesh them up for execution. So Femi, over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for the detailed introduction. I'm really excited to share a few things with you regarding MIPAN and our plans. But I also would like to, Professor Olatunji, great to see you again. I think last time we saw was at the APCON National Advertising Conference. Nice to meet you, Mr. Okukwe. Segun Shokwiton, great to see you again. It's been a while. Segun and I were in school together, so great to reconnect. I also want to thank the leaders of our other sectorial bodies and members of the ISCO that have taken the time to join us. I would like to congratulate Steve for his election as the AAN president, and thank Mr. Jufo and the APCON reps, and of course, our client representatives from Advan, and of course, my executive secretary, and everyone that has joined us around the world. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you. So I believe we all do have a little bit of background about MIPAN, and I think a bit has been said. So I'll just go straight to our manifesto. Interestingly, today we had our first executive committee meeting, and it was really, I think the team is really quite excited about this plan that we put together. And I'll try to, it's on the screen, but I'll just go through. We've tried to summarize our game plan under this acronym called THINK. Number one there is around technology, data, and innovation. Like we all know, we've worked with the, because of the complexity of media today, the consumer sophistication, the proliferation of media, the growth and the rise in technology and penetration of planning tools and all of that. Data is a very, very critical element of what we do. The consumer is fast evolving. New insights are coming out today, particularly because of the country, the situation of the world, and particularly the country. So we need fresh consumer insight. We need fresh media insights to be able to make scientific and well-informed media decisions. And that's where technology plays a big role. And we all can see the impact of technology in everything and how this is impacting the workplace and the ways of life of our consumers. And so technology is very key in analyzing, in ensuring that we deliver data-driven, scientific-based strategies for the brands and for the clients that we work for. And so we need to work together to migrate from what has served us, I'll say in the last 15 years or thereabout, and then begin to move towards a new audience measurable platform, a new audience measurement system, I meant to say. So that is the priority for us. It's so critical, and a lot of work is being done in the area. We've gone through years of pitches trying to find the right partners. I do believe that we've found the right partners now. And the biggest challenge that we have in this area is around funding. And I'm really happy to say that this has also gotten the attention of the federal government. And recently, the minister inaugurated a panel, to a committee to work on this and how do we move this forward. So because it requires a lot of collaboration, and so we're really glad that it is receiving the right attention. And the next thing is around human capital development. Again, like I said, a lot is happening. Technology is changing. Media proliferation is rising, is growing by the day. So we need to be at the forefront of knowledge. We need to be at the forefront of driving conversations around, technology, around culture, around regulation, around the things that are very critical to the work that we do. So one of the things we've done in the last 2 years is to set up an academy called the Alphabet Media Academy. And basically what we're doing is we're developing capability around media and also around marketing communications and marketing in totality. And the uniqueness of this is the lecturers and the facilitators that we work with are also drawn from the industry as well. So it is for us and by us, and we do believe that this can make a lot of difference. We also have a series of training that we will be rolling out. So one of the things we've done in the past years is, for example, the business outlook. Okay, so going forward, we'll be looking at Business Outlook 2.0. We're looking also at perhaps a 2-in-a-year session rather than waiting to the annual sessions that we typically have. This is also because of the pace at which things are changing, the rate at which the economy is changing also, and so much dynamism. And so we can't wait 12 months to review the economic landscape. And so we need to look at that again. And we also have a series of educational programs and training programs centered around marketing, around communications and media. And so we'll be reviewing our syllabus, and we will also be migrating some of our training online as well. So because before now, the institute is based in Lagos. It's a weekend-based training, but now we're having a much more national outlook. So we believe that taking the training online in the coming months will really allow us to reach a wider audience and give people more opportunity to learn and develop. So that's very important to us as well. Very also important to us is industry thought leadership. Again, because of the impact of technology, the consumer, we live in a world where it's increasingly becoming a village. I'm looking for a word that is smaller than a village, and perhaps is the hamlet, or a very small community. And then the pace at which technology is going, there's a lot of debate more recently around 5G technology. People are talking about the impact of this, the impact of augmented reality, the Internet of Things in general, the advancement in the penetration also of media, particularly even outside of the core urban cities as well. So there is a lot we need to talk about. There's also a lot of conversation around regulation when it comes to digital as a platform. And we, the practitioners, we have a perspective, and we also know the regulators have a perspective on this. And we do believe there is need for a lot of meeting of mind, a lot of collaboration in this area. So we want to be at the forefront of the things that matters most, that can impact directly on our economy, that can impact on our practice in marketing, and also in the area of our specialization as well. So this is also key. It's very important for us to be able to achieve the milestone and the goals that we have set for ourselves. So we need to work together, and I'm very happy about the the breadth of the people that we have, on this call. Bodies as well, Advan, Triple, and Xman, One, Bond, of course, our regulators, APCON, of course, so this is very critical. Our media partners, we need to work together. We need to build work environment that provides equal opportunity. Looking at the female, and we need to provide an environment that recognizes the special challenges and, of course, the uniqueness that they bring, and make sure that the environment also supports them to continue to work, and to advance in their career as well. So these are areas where we'll be having various conversations and across the industry. Like a colleague of mine said today when we were having a conversation around manifesto, commercial stability of the media ecosystem is perhaps one of the most critical, even though it comes last on this list. But the fact is, because of the world that we live in today, and the challenges that businesses face, the challenges that we face generally, even in making sure that we support lives and we also support livelihoods at the same time. So we need to support our members and make sure that they evolve their processes, they invest in tools that allow us to be much more efficient, that allow us to reduce our operational costs, that allow us to thrive and to grow. And not only in terms of media independent practitioners, but also the ecosystem. We cannot exist without the content providers. We cannot exist without our media partners. So we need to look beyond even our profitability and that we work with. We also will invest, and invest a lot in the creative requirements that will drive media in the world today. So this in a nutshell summarizes our agenda for the next 2 years. And when you think about all the 5 different areas, one word that keeps coming out is the need for collaboration and partnership. So we've anchored all of this under what we have called the Partnership for Growth. So this is, in a nutshell, our agenda, and we're looking forward to working with you and with different sectors in this ecosystem in moving the industry forward. So thank you very much. I believe I can speak to this in greater details when we come to other conversations. Thank you.
Yes. So thank you so much. That was. I've always, having also been a practitioner at one time, I've always been worried that when I'm particularly interested in manifesting that, I can see clearly that there was no core mention of media planning and buying, in the sense that MIs have always more or less been looked at as just for media planning and buying. Yes, that is the core, but I'm happy that from what you have said now, there is a great migration from just having companies that just focus on media planning and buying, but now looking more at the bigger picture. From what you have seen, said now, there's more integration into the marketing communication program. Quite a lot of things that you have spoken to here shows that there's going to be more or less like a revolution, the way I see it. The question I just have to put forward is that, are we ready as MIPAN executives? Are we ready to change this fast? And how do you intend to build capacity to develop this? A lot of things that you are putting here. Will Alphabet Media Academy alone be able to energize that capacity. I mean, looking at where we are coming from, that's what I'm saying. I don't know whether you understand what I'm saying.
Yes. Okay. So in the area of building capacity, just so that I can, let me just make it a bit, shed a bit more light in this area. There are different levels in which we need to build capacity. At junior level, at so from the entry levels to executive or senior executive level, there's
Yes.
also you can look at the managerial level, either at senior levels or or early director level, and of course there is also in terms of leadership, general leadership level. The plan is to, I think the focus I would say for the academy for in terms of building capacity is really around developing from the executive and the managerial level, and making sure that as we attract a lot of people from different fields,
Yes.
from technology to marketing to social sciences, even from engineering. One of the brightest colleagues I've worked with, I've actually had a degree in civil engineering. He's been in our industry for over the last 20 years and really quite, so we attract talent from across various um, fields of study. So what we want to do is to find ways in which we accelerate learning, because this is a specialist industry. And so most of the training that we'll be doing in AMA will really be around the middle and the low entry levels, the early managerial level. And there are still other trainings, okay, which will be more targeted at the more senior managers or at the directorate level. So we've got other series of training programs. We normally run a training program once every quarter. So we've got 4 training programs that we typically run. And this is outside of the business outlook sessions. And what we try to do is to, every program is targeted for a TG. And then the content and the topic, and in terms of the facilitators, are brought from those very senior level experience and people who have been in the industry for 25 or 30 years or more. So,
Okay.
so the way to look at it is AMA addresses capacity from a particular level downwards, from managerial level downwards, whereas these other quarterly training programs will speak more to people at this more senior level in our organization.
Okay.
And obviously also there are other existing training programs that we send a lot of our staff to, like in the Lagos Business Schools and the likes, and all these very great training schools that we have. So those ones will also continue to exist in the market.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. I'm actually glad that, like I had mentioned to you, you are basically opening up MIPAN to a lot of other competencies that I'm looking at 3-4 years from now. If you walk into a typical MIPAN agency, you're likely to see a lot of changes and so many things that we hitherto have not seen before. Because, like I said, if a substantial part of the budget is spent through MIPAN agencies, then it obviously has to be a much more robust, you understand, a much more robust platform.
Yes.
Yes. So I completely align with your thoughts. I would want, because one of the things you mentioned was technology. I would want, I've had discussions with you. I've also had discussions with some other colleagues, particularly Joko, and looking at how many 20, 30 years in IMC, like I said, some of which we substantially spent together, and been a friend and a brother, and we've had several discussions around this. And I want you to just speak to what are some of the technology things, related things that we should be looking at after which Prof too will look at the academic side too, so that we're able to, at least whatever it is, add some depth to this discussion. So if Joko is ready, Joko, can you just let us see your thoughts? MIPAN wants to really do a lot of things in terms of technology, data, consumer management, a lot of things. Do you have any ideas to share that at least they can also calibrate it to what they are doing?
Well, yeah, good afternoon, everybody. And FEMI, congrats on your election. Best wishes from this side.
Thank you.
And got yeah, well, that you said, and more so in the topic of this conversation, partnering for growth, is very, very instructive. And I heard you using words and phrases like inclusiveness with collaboration, thought leadership, and like words that suggests that the forward-thinking perspective of collaboration, and coming together is actually the only way to go. I have been in the industry for about 30 years plus now. I started my career at LTC those days, LTC to Insight, and then we started Campaign Palace, Nucleus Company, and I'm where I am now. I'm actually, I sit on the board of two technology companies. One is a media technology company that is involved in the current MBC digital switchover program. And the other is one that develops platforms. And looking at the technology, which is the first on your agenda, technology, data, and innovation. If somebody told us 20 years ago that we will not have to go to the bank for 6 months, 7 months in a year, it will sound like, it will sound a bit absurd. That how do you mean I have to go to my bank and get things done? But I'm sure that with all of us on this platform right now, you may not remember when last you went to a bank, to try and do transactions physically. And because banking has ceased to become the place that you go, it has become what you do, as a matter of fact. So likewise, our industry will not be an exception, whether we like it or not, whether we want it or not. In a matter of time, we have to embrace technology in doing things that we need to do. So in our own effort, we try to develop a platform to the industry. It's being launched in the next couple of weeks. It's called the Adverter platform, which essentially just helps practitioners, especially the small, medium scale players in the economy. And as you'll agree with me, the small, medium scale players are actually the growth, the engine room for growth in every economy. We believe that with this platform, we should be able to harness the potentials with this sector together and find a way to bring in benefits, to practitioners in the industry. Because one of the things that you spoke about is human capital development. Human capital development has a lot to do with the big pulling up the small, and giving them capacity to do what they need to do better. And going down the future, like it has happened in banking, like it has happened in insurance, we may actually be witnessing some mergers and acquisitions as time goes on. For us to be able to have a solid base that is more, that has a wide, that has stronger capacity, for us to do a lot that we need to do. So yeah, technology and innovation is key, and we will be confined with industry players in the next couple of weeks on how we can work together, on this platform to improve the industry practice and to make the practice a lot more profitable and productive for those of us that are in it. That's just what I have to say now. And once again, I want to congratulate you. And I want to say that I know that very, very soon we will have cause to sit down, you know, this issues of interest to move the industry forward.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. The line is breaking from your end. Can you hear me very well, everyone?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so thank you. So again, just to add a little bit more around technology. So like you said, it's very critical to everything that we do. And in the last couple of years, what we've done in that area is to look at all the various technology options, particularly from a planning standpoint. You know, we've looked at various tools that are available across Africa and also particularly South Africa, and even in similar markets like India, to see what options will be best for us. We considered the likes of Telma. We looked at you know, Ipsos, Geopol that you mentioned earlier on, the PSA info tools. We looked at the, you know, and various types of possible options to move our industry forward. And we have a technical committee that spent a lot of time in going through all of these proposals. And we have a point of view, we have a recommendation, which we have forwarded to the ministerial committee in terms of, on audience measurement. And so from a media planning standpoint, we do believe that this is a solution that will move us forward. From a database standpoint, you know, because again, one arm is technology, the other is having the right level of data in terms of size, also in terms of frequency and accessibility of the data. We're coming from a base of about 21,000 in terms, you know, from our traditional diaries base, and we're moving, and the plan is to move to about 10,000 panel which cuts across the key cities across Nigeria, and that's a much more robust. You know, when you compare that to what the size of the panel in other markets, even like India, Russia, and South Africa, this is a significant panel, and you can relate that to our population. We believe is very representative of our population in Nigeria. So we believe this will take us to the next level in terms of technology and data, and we address the challenges that we have from a media planning standpoint. And so we are very open to working with technology companies and developing technology solutions to our work processes as well.
Okay, so what we will do is that we will take Prof's input now. What I would look at, is that look at all the suggestions from various stakeholders. At the end, you would have the time to respond to each of them one by one. The reason is that so that at the end of the day, some could answer some along the line, so that you just round up everything at the end of the day. So let's look at all the presentations. Let's look at all the input. Then you do a general roundup. Okay. So just relax. And so, Prof, the academia, you are supposed to be partners in progress. So how can you assist MIPAN to achieve its objective? You have seen the manifesto. Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Nusa. I want to really appreciate you for your doggedness, your resilience, which explains my presence here today at this forum. And we have come a long way. I want to say thank you for the invite.
Thank you, sir.
Having done that, let me also congratulate FEMI ADELUSI on your election, and also to wish you a successful tenure. Let me thank you for that breakfast that you offered to me at the Nadia Sikwe International Airport in those days when we could travel freely and all of that. Thank you for being a good partner and friend. I'm not surprised that you are the president. You are so unassuming, and yet you are a go-getter. And I know that you are going to turn the fortune of MIPAN around for good during this your short tenure. Thank you so much. Egban Joko Kupe has been a benefactor, and I remember the last time he brought me into the presidential roundtable on communication and governance. It was a very welcoming one, and I've narrated all of this to show our relationship between TAN and GAN. Egban Joko, I want to say thank you for that invite the other day. Also to say that we hope COVID does not derail your very noble program along that line. We just wish you success in that direction as well. Let me come to the issue of,
thank you.
Yes, sir, you're welcome, sir. The issue of MIPAN and the academia, what we have to do together. I came into contact with MIPAN around 1993, 1994, or thereabouts. And I knew somebody like Ayoluato Singh, I think if not the pioneer president of the association, one of the past presidents. And it was at a period that I was doing my PhD in advertising from the University of Ibadan at the time. And the terms and terminologies that became rampant then were things like direct media buying, media multiplicity, media planning, below the line, above the line, and through the line, and so on and so forth. In fact, it was a period of the structural adjustment program and its ravaging effects on the integrated communications industry. But it was like we didn't see anything then in terms of the cataclysmic effects of the economy and the macro environment on the media industry. If there is any other moment that the macro environment is impacting positively and adversely on the media industry, it is now, when there is no dichotomy any longer between the existing media and we have the convergence of all the media, which calls for innovation, innovativeness, it calls for ingenuity, it calls for the best hands and most creative minds to ensure that we actually come out of it better. And it's like when the online journal started and the professionals left it to those who didn't have training in communications, then we had a lot of unethical practices in that platform, on that social media platform. But now that newspapers have now migrated online, then they're able to take the sale of the wings of those unscrupulous professionals. And so the first point I would like to make is that the audiences have migrated, and so should professionals migrate with them to where we can get them at any particular time. And so there's no better time for us to reposition MIPAN and associated marketing communications professionals and practitioners along the line of digital media, online advertising, new media, and the rest of them. And I'm happy that MIPAN is well positioned to do that. And so the challenge that MIPAN also has is the challenge of digital media. It's no longer, we can no longer continue with the whole practice of advertising and media planning, because a lot of factors have tried to tilt or destabilize or disrupt, even if positively, our practices in media and related profession. And so I'm interested in the human resource development or human capital development agenda of MIPAN, because that is where the real thing actually begins. To have professionals, 21st century professionals, we need to be able to train all the available manpower to be compliant with the new digital media. And I'm happy that the academy that the MIPAN has set up is living up to expectation in that direction. Not only that, we have reached out to MIPAN in that direction. Professor Shaw and I think we are involved one way or the other in the activities of MIPAN along the line of the academy. And we still promise that we will be available to make our services available at your disposal, and also to learn from the town in terms of media technologies in media. Let me give you the advantages that we stand to gain. When I became dean, we were reaching out to the industry, and just recently, the United Nations called for competition on short video for COVID-19. And out of all the entries, 10 succeeded in Nigeria. 3 of them were just the last set of my graduating students who won the bid, and they were the first 3 that won that bid. And this is not accidental. It's as a result of cumulative interaction between the TAM and the GAN. And so we are looking forward to more of such interactions, whereby it's not just enough for the association to stay within its confines of environment and train those who are available there. We need to come also to the classroom to expose our students who do not have the opportunity of coming over to you, so that through regular training programs, which can be initiated either by us or by you, you come over and then you expose some of the latest technologies, innovations, creativity in the industry to our students right in the classroom. Because at the end of the day, we want to produce industry-ready professionals, and we also are having our eyes on those that can actually go into entrepreneurial development, those who are not going to be seeking job in the industry. And so this is where MIPAN comes in by way of also helping to grow the academic sector. And then finally, the manpower resources in the classroom, that's the lecturers and so on, they also need some bit of exposure. What I normally do is I send my graduate assistants to the industry 6 months, so that they know what is happening in the industry. They are the ones going to take over from us, and so they can pass on the best tradition to our students when we have exited the system. So I want to associate myself with the MIPAN and to congratulate you and to say that it's going to be a mutually beneficial relationship. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Prof. I'm sure FEMI and his team will relate with you very well after this.
Thank you.
So much to do, so much collaboration. You can see from, that's why I said partnering for growth, because, nobody has the exclusivity of all the resources. We have to lean on each other. So that's why. Well, we will take 1 or 2 sectorial response now. I don't know if Leko, my friend Leko Badulako is around. Please, let's help locate Leko, but let's talk to Churchy. Churchy is here representing OR, and he will speak to us. Is the Assistant General Secretary of OR, and is also in charge of the monitoring. So he will speak to us concerning concerning the manifesto of MIPAN and how OAN want to locate their activities within that for mutual benefit. So, Churchy, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you, Mr. Nosa.
So how are you today?
I'm fine. Nice to see you again.
Yes, that is my friend and brother Emmanuel.
Yeah, he sends his regards.
Okay, please. So let's see how you can collaborate with MIPAN on this on this journey. Can you share with us?
Yeah, thank you very much, and Mr. Osak, for this wonderful innovation, and also my regards to our highly esteemed discussants that have made presentation prior to my coming on board. I want to, on behalf of my president and the entire Abdul Association of Nigeria, congratulate Mr. FEMI ADELUSI and his team on their election and their opportunity to lead the media independent arm of our industry. Like I said in one of my public reactions on the social media handle, when the news of Mr. FEMI's election hits the newsstand, that the three major sectorial groups that make up the Nigerian advertising industry have really been placed on the path of growth with the type of leadership that we have in OWAN and we are going to experience in MIPAN, and of course, not forgetting my brother and friend, Steve Babeko, who has also just been elected on the AAN arm of the industry. So I have no doubts in my mind that there is a clear indication of a beginning of a new normal in the industry. And having said that, for Mr. ADELUSI and his team to have taken the initiative to organize this type of forum within a very short possible time of assuming office points to the fact that our industry is ready to recalibrate, and that the Nigerian advertising industry is really going to be set on the path of growth. So I want to assure him and his team that this partnership will be very rewarding as far as OWAN and its members are concerned, and we will be open to really support any good initiative that will bring about this growth. But having said that, I also want to point out to us that for us to achieve growth, there is a need for us to really review the way things are being done going forward, because we must begin to fuse into a productive synergy that will guarantee healthy partnership and growth on our investment while creating positive returns to our clients. I want to also use this opportunity on behalf of OWAN to appreciate MIPAN's support in working with us and the APCON to formulate and make a public presentation of the standard operating procedure document, which was presented to the public on the 26th of February 2020. Though we are not ignorant of the damages the global pandemic has done on our social, economic, and political lives, but we as a people must pick up the pieces of our lives and move on. Therefore, I will impress on the president of MIPAN and his team to join us so that we can together approach APCON on the need to speedily domesticate this document and make it a working tool in the industry. So I want to also assure the president of MIPAN that we are open to collaborate on the audience measurement in OOH. We acknowledge and appreciate efforts of some companies in this direction. Be rest assured that OWAN will be ready to support you in efforts to make sure that we actualize that. However,
okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Can I have one or two points to round up? So
okay,
I also want, I want to use this opportunity to call to mind that we may not continue with the level of the credit windows that we are operating and experiencing in the industry that is allowing a 90 days to 120 days window, which sometimes goes beyond that. So there is a need for us to ensure liquidity in the industry by letting clients to have a need to make payments while campaigns are going on. And finally, there is a need, sir, for us to have an intersectorial Ethics and Compliance Committee that will have representation of O1, MIPAN, and the and if by registration, ADVAN, to ensure that our practitioners practice within recommended standards, and we must develop the willingness to sanction anybody that plays outside this window. Mr. President, OOH is in a very delicate, we must draw the road to achieve our national economic prosperity. There is a need to allow healthy brand presence out of home and outdoor. So thank you, Mr. President. We rest assured that O1 will work and collaborate with you to achieve a desired and a prosperous industry. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Churchill. We are hoping that we'll call in the representatives from AAA and ADVAN and Expert to speak to us briefly. Then we'll open up the line for general. We'll let the MIPAN president respond to all of that. Then we'll open up the lines for questions and answer briefly in case there are one or two things that we still need to cover. But before we go to the next sectorial representation, our friends from, like I said, some of our colleagues and our associates reached out to us from Atlanta. So I would like Joey to, in 1 or 2 minutes. Joey, are you there? Joey, can you hear me?
I sure can.
Yes. So can you just let us know in 1 or 2 minutes what, because one of the things MIPAN president mentioned was audience measurement. And I know you have 1 or 2 things along that line. So in 1 or 2 minutes, just share with us so that they can take that on board. Then we look at the sectorial contributions and we get the MIPAN president to tell us generally what, just to round up. So Joey, please, in 2 minutes, can you share with us?
Yes, thank you so much, first of all, for inviting me to this meeting. I'm honored to be in your presence today. And we're very honored to be affiliated with NOSAC Nigeria. Everybody's doing big things in the great nation of Nigeria, and Board Active is very happy to be a part of that, specifically for audience attribution, right? I loved what somebody said earlier about the consumer way of life. And what better way to measure that than with real-time first-party data? So what Board Active provides is the medium between the business and brand and the consumer. So that way the brand can understand what the consumer is doing, when they do it, how they do it, and how often they do it. And we can export this data back to the brand itself, so that way they can understand their consumer on a very personalized, intimate level. In addition, this exported data is also very valuable for future campaigns. So that way we can kind of understand who our customers are, who we want to target next for an upcoming campaign, and that way there's no wasted ad spend. You know, nowadays it's more important than ever to provide a personalized experience. So in addition to the user data, Board Active allows for brands to trigger push notifications by utilizing geolocation across the world, even in the great nation of Nigeria. So we could geofence, street furniture, bus stops, billboards, storefronts, actual retail establishments. We can geofence specific shopping outlet centers, stretches of interstate and highway, and all of which accomplishes a myriad of things. But the two most important in our view is to be able to monitor our foot traffic of our consumers, and as I said before, to trigger these push notifications. So it provides just an extra complement to other campaigns that the brand is currently running. So again, Board Active is just very grateful to be a part of this conversation, and we're looking forward to future integrations. So thank you so much, NOSAC. I really appreciate the invite here, and I'm happy to answer any questions as well during this call and after the call as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Um, so what we'll do basically is we'll make on, I don't know if make on Padola points available. Would also want somebody to speak on behalf of Advan, if any of them are here, and anybody to also speak on behalf of Expert. Why we just give them. So if you want to speak on behalf of Triple N, Advan, and Expert, it seems as if I'm not sure. Can you raise up your hand so that we can take that before FEMI just generally tells us everything, then we go to the question and answer. Anybody who wants to speak on behalf of Triple N, Advan, and the experiential marketing? Can you just raise up your hand so that we'll just take that FEMI can react to all that we have said so far. Okay, maybe so as not to take too much of people's time. Let's, so FEMI, let's just give you room to react. Yes, just react.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to start first by just saying a few things regarding Mr. Churchill's presentation. Mr. Churchill, I want to thank you for, and thank you on behalf of MIPAN, and thank you for I think one of the things that we found really quite interesting, we felt really quite touching, was the outreach of OAN to us um, just about when the lockdown was being lifted. And we got a letter from OAN saying that, OAN as a body is looking, is sensitive to the development and the challenges that brands are facing in this period, and that they are happy to make a significant discount extension to MIPAN and to agencies, and which obviously also gets to the client. I think one of the things that we as practitioners needs to be sensitive to at this time is empathy. A lot of our clients, a lot of brands have gone through very tough and challenging periods, and are unable to invest behind their brands. And so many brands have seen market share, value share eroded over the past 3 months. And so it's really quite good and generous to be able to receive that warm offer of significant discount. And our clients are quite appreciative from the feedback that I have from my colleagues. So thank you so much for that. And then regarding the SOP, I also want to talk about the SOP. Which was presented.
Hello.
The SOP which was presented in February. You can be sure that we have
not seen you.
We'll be very happy to work with you from a consulting and an advisorial standpoint, in terms of how can we make out of home, what do we need to change to drive relevance, to drive the growth. Our view is that all the various parts of the ecosystem can thrive.
Okay, let's talk after.
So we also are quite mindful
of
the development, and around us. We know the opportunity that, that data, mobile and data offers today, and how that can apply to out of home and out of home planning and buying, can take place. So that there's a lot that we need to do, the discussions we need to have around how do we drive relevance of this channel in view of, the realities of today. How can we leverage on available audience data to also drive out of home? There are conversations currently in terms of audience movement, and now you can do almost real-time programmatic out-of-home buying where it's possible. You know, even if we can't do this pan-Nigeria at the same time, what are the key markets and where do we need to leverage? And of course, we know that will always be markets where some other form of our traditional out-of-home will still be relevant, you know, but again, one step at a time, we just need to look at the entire value proposition and see how can we work together to the best benefit of our clients and the consumers as well.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself.
So thanks, and thank you so much, Joey, for what you shared. Again, because of the dynamism of today, we sit on a very huge number of Gen Y, you know, Generation X, Gen Z, generally a very useful population in Nigeria, and the lifestyle, you know, is changing. The audience is very mobile. And so I think the proposition in terms of push notification, leveraging technology from a, you know, geofencing standpoint, I think this sounds really quite relevant. And this is the type of conversation we need to have and to explore to the benefit of the brands that we work with. The market is quite open. The brands are looking for solutions that allow them to meet, you know, to deliver on their brand goals and their brand objectives. And there's a lot of pressure on sales. You know, a lot of brands have lost a significant part of the first half. The pandemic is still here. And so there are still concerns about what the Q2 and Q3 might be. So any channel or opportunity that drives efficiency and effectiveness will be highly welcome by the industry, I do believe. So that would be just in the summary, my response. Thank you. We're very open, and this is the kind of conversation that our ESCO is very open to having at this period.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So what we'll do essentially now is that if you have any questions to ask, please raise up your digital hand so that we can acknowledge and see questions essentially while we still wait for other contributors because we need to quickly round up. But before we go to the question and answer session, tell me, I want to, one of the things that strikes me is collaboration. Are you talking about collaboration external to members of MIPAN, or are you talking about MIPAN members collaborating with each other to ensure that they're able to deliver efficiency and effectiveness? Because most times when we look at collaboration, we think about external people. But are we saying all MIPAN members have all it takes so they can go on their own? Or are there cases where they need to collaborate together? How do you, looking at our industry, how do you want to do that?
Yeah, I mean, your question is a very good one. The way we see collaboration is both internal and external. Within our industry, within our sector, within MIPAN, we've got small agencies, we've got medium-sized agencies, and we've got very, very big agencies. There's a lot of opportunity to work together. There's a lot that we can share, even amongst ourselves. There's a lot, you know, again, if you've got certain tools or certain resources, which again, I know we compete a lot. A lot of people with, a lot of agencies have proprietary tools and their intellectual property rights and the need to protect, you know, but there are areas where we can work together, where we can help to share resources and bring down our operational costs. These are areas where we need to work together. The areas where we need to invest, you know, to jointly invest behind tools and technology that help our practice, and even on tools that help our internal operations. Okay, and what that means is that we can work more efficiently, and our people can invest their time
Yeah.
in strategy rather than in
We round up.
of everyday operational
Is there any
details.
questions? Yes.
So, and the truth is that these are areas where we can collaborate successfully. So yes, we're looking at internal. We want to make sure that we help the small struggling agencies to see how they, so whether you're doing 1,000, whether you're doing 10 billion naira or whether you're doing 10 million supports in a day, in a year or whatever, and you're a member, the fact that you're a member should give you some value. We'll be looking at our value proposition. What is it that as a MIPAN member you get that you can take to the bank or that you can take to the market that gives you a competitive advantage over somebody or an agency that is not? So these are areas where we need to work together. The fact that we collectively between us have account for about 85 to 90% of the advertising spend in Nigeria is a huge negotiation power, and that our members can leverage. So whether you are a 200 million naira agency or a 10 billion naira agency, so these are areas where we need to work together. And of course, looking at it from a broader, larger standpoint is the external. For the agenda that we have and where we need to move this market to, we need to reach out. We need to work with technology businesses and all our key industry sectoral bodies for this to work.
Okay. So thank you so much, Femi. I'm sure you said quite a lot, even within, we spent close to about an hour and a half, and a lot of things have been said. And like I had mentioned earlier, we will put together these things and give it to you more as a community. Links have been established, relationships have been built even via this platform. I want us to take the conversation out of here. I mean, as you have mentioned, because we can't do everything here. The only thing I would say, part of which you have mentioned just now, is the issue of taking intellectual property very serious. I am of the opinion that that is one area we need to do a lot of in marketing communication. Agreements have to be properly looked at, and rights have to be protected. So there's a need, like you said, as we progress, let's ensure that people are also champions the legal ramifications of all these things, so that whatever efforts that are made by your members are not thwarted at the end of the day, because a lot of creativity goes into media, and like you said, a lot of things that we don't expect to be happening now are now happening. And as such, people need to be able to ensure the benefit of the brain, whatever activities they use their brain to engage in. That will also lead to the sustenance of MIPAN as it is. New billboard formats are going to be developed. New templates are going to be done for media planning and buying. People are going to be reaching out to each other. Let's ensure that we get it right, and we are all economically protected. So we want to thank everybody that has been on this platform. We just want to express our gratitude to FEMI. I know it's a very tight schedule. I know you have to come out of a meeting just to attend to this. But you see, one thing I always tell people is that politicians can get away without having a clear-cut direction with their agenda. But we in the private sector cannot afford not to have a clear-cut direction, especially because media is more or less like a stakeholder business. A lot of people are involved. So that's why we said, okay, let's rub minds with you, and so that you know exactly what the people expect of you, and we will also know what we expect of your team, so that 1 year, 2 years, 3 years down the line, we can tick the boxes that on so and so day we met and we agreed on this, and Femi has done very well. He has taken MIPAN to greater heights. So Femi, we wish to thank you so much as we close. We should thank Joey. We should thank Joko Kupe, Churchill, everybody that has come to say one thing or the other. We thank you so much. In the next few weeks, we'll bring to you another very major personality in trying to set clear agenda for their professional work. We are not likely to deal with politicians because we don't play politics. We only deal with professionals. So please, Femi, we thank you. Everybody that has made this call, we thank you. As we leave now, Prof, you've been wonderful. You can reach us through any of the platforms that you can reach us through business directly. You are free to come online, and as things progress, the collaboration will definitely bring mutual benefit. Thank you all for your time.
Thank
God
you.
bless. Yes, thank you. Yes, thanks. Bye. Bye.
Thank you, Musa.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Femi. Yeah,
Thank
nice.
Thank you so
Bye,
much.
everyone. Thank you.
Thanks.
Wait. I'm gone.